Welcome to the uncanny world of urban legends, where truth intertwines with terror in the most unexpected ways. Today, we're uncovering real-life mysteries that have inspired whispers and warnings across generations. Join us as we peel back the veil on the dark corners of reality, revealing stories that prove sometimes the truth is far more frightening than fiction. Fairfax County, Virginia, with its blend of suburban calm and dense woodlands, held within its embrace a darkness that threaded through the community's consciousness. The legend of the Bunny Man, a sinister tale that evolved with time, cast a long shadow over the county. It was a story of a menacing figure, dressed in a bunny suit, wielding an axe with a purpose that was as chilling as the act itself. The legend spoke of vanished children, their disappearances a mystery that left a void in the hearts of the townsfolk. The forests, once a haven of natural beauty, bore witness to a macabre scene: bunnies found mutilated, a dreadful testament to the Bunny Man's presence. The origins of this grim tale were not mere fabrications of the collective imagination, but were rooted in a disturbing reality. In October of 1970, the Washington Post published a harrowing account that would forever change the narrative of Fairfax County. The article, titled "Man in Bunny Suit Sought in Fairfax," detailed an encounter that seemed to leap from the pages of a horror story. A couple, seeking a moment's peace beneath the bridge, were abruptly confronted by a figure that was as bizarre as it was terrifying. Dressed in a bunny suit, the man approached their car, axe in hand, and before hurling the weapon into their windshield, he screamed, "You're trespassing!" His words were a declaration, a warning that they had ventured into his domain. He vanished into the night, leaving behind a shattered windshield and a story that would become the stuff of legend. A week later, another couple experienced a similar encounter. The phrase, "You're trespassing," echoing through the night before the Bunny Man made his ominous appearance known once again. Despite the police's best efforts, the Bunny Man eluded capture. The forests of Fairfax County were combed, leads were followed, but all efforts were in vain. The community was left with the unsettling knowledge that among them lurked a man who had slipped into the depths of madness, his only companions the guise of a bunny and the cold embrace of an axe. Years passed, and the legend of the Bunny Man became a spectral memory, a story told to provoke fear and curiosity. Yet for me, the legend was a siren call, a fascination that led me and my friends to the bridge one October night. The air beneath the bridge was thick with an unspoken dread, a prelude to the nightmare that awaited us. As we stood there, enveloped by the darkness, the silence was shattered by a voice, chilling and clear. "You're trespassing." It was him, the Bunny Man, a specter torn from the tales of our childhood. The moment was surreal, a confrontation with a legend that was supposed to dwell only in the whispers of the past. His eyes, wild with an unfathomable darkness, met ours as he menacingly stepped forward. The encounter was brief, a fleeting moment of fear that would etch itself into our memories forever. He disappeared as quickly as he had appeared, leaving behind the echo of his warning and the undeniable mark of his axe. The police's response was marked by skepticism, their searches yielding nothing but the silence of the woods. The Bunny Man was a ghost, a figure that moved through the shadows of Fairfax County, untouched by time and beyond the reach of the law. His legacy, bolstered by the events of 1970 and my own encounter, persisted, a legend that blurred the lines between reality and myth. The Bunny Man, whether a figure of flesh and blood or the embodiment of our deepest fears, remained a mystery. The encounters, separated by years, but linked by the haunting phrase, "You're trespassing," served as a stark reminder of the darkness that lurks in the periphery of our understanding, a tale of terror that whispers from the depths of Fairfax County, forever etched into the lore of urban legends. In the heart of North Pond, Maine, where the trees whisper secrets to those who dare listen, my life was intertwined with a mystery that would haunt me for years. It began with trivial oddities: a missing jar of peanut butter, apples vanishing from the counter, books disappearing from shelves. At first, I laughed them off, attributing the losses to forgetfulness or the playful pranks of a family member. But as the occurrences multiplied, a cold unease settled over me. It wasn't just my home. Neighbors whispered of similar disappearances, a collective experience that defied simple explanation. The community speculated in hushed tones about the cause. Was it a mischievous spirit, or perhaps a burglar with an unusual penchant for the mundane? The idea seemed ludicrous, yet the thefts persisted, an invisible intruder leaving a trail of minor disruptions in their wake. The notion of being watched, of someone or something moving unseen through our lives, sent shivers down my spine. The sanctity of my home, once inviolable, now felt porous, vulnerable to the whims of an unseen specter. The thefts, relentless in their frequency, became an obsession. I found myself lying awake at night, straining to hear the slightest sound, a clue to the identity of our phantom thief. The community was on edge, the weight of 1,000 minor thefts bearing down on us, a psychological torment that frayed the edges of our reality. Then, one night, the mystery unraveled in the most unexpected way. I awoke to a noise, a soft rustling that seemed both foreign and familiar. My heart raced as I crept through the darkened house, a flashlight my only companion. The beam cut through the darkness, revealing not the expected emptiness, but a figure, a man, rummaging through my kitchen. Dressed in layers to combat the chill, his face obscured by the shadows, he moved with a purposeful grace that belied his intrusion. Before I could react, the figure bolted, a ghostly apparition fleeing into the night's embrace. The encounter, brief and silent, left me trembling, the reality of our phantom-made flesh. The community's specter, the source of so many whispered fears and theories, had invaded the sanctity of my home, leaving behind a trail of unnerving silence. In the days that followed, the police finally put an end to the mystery that had haunted North Pond for decades. The elusive intruder was none other than Christopher Knight, dubbed the Maine Hermit. At the young age of 20, Knight had vanished into the woods, severing all ties with humanity to embark on a life of solitude. For 27 years, he lived in the shadows of society, a hermit whose existence was sustained through the silent theft of necessities from the homes of unsuspecting residents. His life was a testament to isolation, a deliberate choice to exist outside the boundaries of social interaction. The revelation of Knight's identity and his extraordinary story of survival and solitude cast a new light on the events that had puzzled North Pond. The man who had become a legend, a phantom in our midst, was driven not by malice, but by an unfathomable desire for isolation. His silent incursions into our lives, though unsettling, were acts of survival, the only connections he maintained with a world he had chosen to leave behind. The capture of the Maine Hermit closed a chapter in North Pond's history, but the legacy of his presence lingered. The community was left to grapple with the complex emotions of fear, curiosity, and a begrudging respect for Knight's survivalist resolve. His story, a profound reminder of the depths of human endurance and the choice of solitude, would echo through the trees of North Pond, a haunting but human tale woven into the fabric of our collective memory. In the shadowed heart of Mexico, whispered tales wind through the streets like the chill before a storm. They speak of La Llorona, the weeping woman, a specter condemned to wander water's edge in eternal sorrow. Legend has it that centuries ago, a woman, consumed by a lover's betrayal, was driven to the madness of drowning her own children. Upon realizing her heinous act, she drowned herself in a river of tears and remorse. Cursed to roam the earth, she searches for her children. Her mournful cries a harbinger of doom to those who hear them. Fast forward to the present, where the lines between old wives' tales and reality blur in the dead of night. I, a skeptic by nature, found myself drawn to these stories, an interest piqued by history and folklore rather than belief. My research into local legends brought me to a small, sleepy town in Mexico, renowned for its picturesque views by day and its haunting tales by night. It was here, on the banks of a winding river shrouded in mist, that my skepticism was challenged in a way I could never have anticipated. One evening, driven by a mix of curiosity and bravado, I ventured to the river alone, the very place La Llorona was rumored to haunt. The night was silent, save for the gentle lapping of water against the shore and the distant call of an owl. As I walked, I found myself enveloped in a fog so thick it seemed to swallow the world whole. Then, through the mist, I heard it. A soft, heart-wrenching sobbing that gripped my soul with an icy fear. The sound drew closer, and from the fog emerged a figure draped in white, her face obscured by the veil of her own tears. La Llorona stood before me, not as a myth, but as a terrifying reality. Paralyzed by fear, I could only watch as she raised her head, revealing eyes hollow with despair. She moved toward me, hands outstretched, not in malice but in a plea for the children she would never find. In that moment, something primal within me took over, and I turned to run, stumbling through the fog that seemed to whisper her name. I dared not look back, fearing that to see her face again would be to succumb to the fate of those who hear her cries. I ran until the mist dissipated, and the real world rushed back in a flood of reality. The encounter left me shaken, a believer in a legend I had once dismissed as mere superstition. La Llorona was real, not just a spirit of the past, but a haunting presence that bridged the divide between history and the present. Her sorrow was palpable, a reminder of the depth of human despair and the consequences of actions driven by the darkest corners of the heart. My nights since have been haunted not by fear but by empathy for the weeping woman, a soul condemned to an eternity of loss. The legend of La Llorona, I learned, is more than a tale to frighten children. It's a story of love, betrayal, and the unending search for redemption. And for those who dare to listen, her cries still echo in the night, a mournful lament that transcends the boundaries of time.